Do you want to learn how to make this website completely from scratch? Well, stick around because I'm going to be showing you all how to make this awesome website from scratch in this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to Code My Hobby. I produce daily videos based around programming with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Subscribe if that sounds interesting to you today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you all how to make this awesome website using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now you can see when we reloaded the page, the animation occurs. So this animation was made with the help of GSAP library. And over here, when we over on the shoe image, you can see the image is kind of moving. So also this website is responsive, so we can inspect to check. So this is on mobile view, so you can see it's completely responsive. See the menu bar over here, and when we adjust the screen size, you can see it automatically adjusts. So the source code to this tutorial is going to be in the description below. We are almost at 1000 subscribers and I want to thank you all so much for your support. Now I'm going to be giving my random subscribers shout out, so in my next video I'm going to give some subscribers shout out to thank them so much. And also, if you want me to make more website tutorials, please comment down below. And I do have a surprise link in the description, so make sure you check it out and be the first to find out what the surprise is, because it's going to be big. So make sure you check it out. The link is going to be in the description below where I say surprise link, so click that link and check the surprise. Thank you. Without further ado, let's jump into our VS Code. In our VS Code, now the first thing we want to do is link our CSS and JavaScript. So style the CSS and link the JavaScript. Now we're going to be using box icons, so let's get that from our browser. So box icon, so you select usage and import the CSS and copy this link over here and paste it over here. So the first thing we're going to work on is the navigation area. So let's go over here and create a header. Give this header a class of L header. The next thing we're going to do is make a nav tag with a class of nav and another class of bg grid. So here we're going to have a div on anchor tag. Now this anchor tag is going to be holding the logo, so we're going to give the class of nav logo. So we're going to have another class of logo. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to import the image for the logo. So images, we're going to the images folder and we're going to select logo.png. Now the next thing we're going to do is make another div with a class of nav toggle. Let's make a nav toggle. Also going to have an ID of nav toggle. In this nav toggle, we're going to use our box icon. So we want to grab an icon now. So let's select the menu icon. Next thing we want to do is make another div in the class of nav menu and an ID of nav menu. Over here we're going to use the box icon again. We're going to select one Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a UL for the navigation, for the home, for the links. So UL, and we're going to give this a class of nav list. So we're going to create li. We're going to give it a class of nav item, and in here we're going to have our anchor tag, and we're going to give it a class of nav link. Save this and copy this, paste it over here 4 times. So in here we're going to have home, blog, services, contact. Now save this and check your browser. So this is the logo over here, and these are the icons. And this is the nav list. So let's style this real quick. Now we're going to jump into our CSS. Now before we start styling, I do want us to use certain fonts for this site. So we're going to be using font Poppins. So let's grab that from our browser. Now you can see what I type over here, font Poppins Google font link. So we're going to select this. And we're going to grab this. So we're going to select our import. So we're going to import it using our CSS. So copy this and paste it over here. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to declare some variables which we'll be using. Now the first variable we're going to declare is header height. To declare a variable you have to use a function called root. I'm going to give this a value of 3 rem. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make color variables. So we're going to make our first variable. I'm going to give this name of first color. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make some variables for the font. The next thing is our set index. So you save this. Now we're going to work out the add media query. So we are done with declaring our variables. So now we're going to get into the styling. So body, I'm going to give it some margin. I'm going to use the variable we just declared. So the next thing we're going to do is give this a padding of 0. I'm going to give this a font family. Also a font size of normal fonts, which we declared as a variable, and we're going to give this a font width 500. Now the next thing we're going to grab is the H1 paragraph and the UL. So we're going to give this a margin of 0. Next thing we're going to grab is the UL. We're going to give this a padding of 0 and a list style of none. Next thing we're going to grab is the anchor tag. So we're going to give this a text decoration of none, and also we're going to select the image tag, and we're going to give this a max width of 100% and the height of auto. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the class BG grid. Let's check our HTML to see how I'll give the class. Okay, so it's supposed to be BG grid. So copy this. So we're going to give this a max width of 1024 pixels. We're going to give this a display of grid. Next thing is grid template 100%. Now I'm going to give this a column cap. Of 2 rem. Next thing we're going to do is give this a width, and we're going to get the width calculated. So we're going to use the calc. Now the next thing we're going to do is to add the margin left of 1 rem. So now we're going to grab the L header, paste it over here. So we're going to give this a width of 100%, position of fixed, a top of 0, left also should be 0. Z index, we're going to use the Z index we declared earlier. Yes. So the next thing we're going to do is get the background color. So the background color, we're going to use the first color. Now I do want to check something real quick. Okay, so this margin has 2 zeros over here. So the background color is going to spread evenly around the body. So we're clearing out the margin over in the body. So now we're going to start our nav. So let's say nav style. So we're going to grab the class of nav. We're going to give a height of header height going to have a display flex, justify content to the center, and align the items to the center. Next thing we want to work on is the media query. So we're going to grab the nav menu. Let's copy it from over here. Nav menu. I'm going to give this a fixed position. I'm going to give this a top of 0, right of minus 100%, width of 70%, height of 100%. Let's add some padding. So it's going to be 3.5 rem by 1.5 rem. Last thing we're going to do is add a background color. So we're going for the light gray, so RGBA 255, 255. 0.3. So we're also going to add a backdrop filter with blur 10 pixels and a transition of 0.5 seconds. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the nav logo. So let's check over here. So nav logo, we're going to grab the image. So let's give this a width of 50 pixels and a height of 20 pixels. Next thing we're going to grab is nav close. So we did make a little mistake over here, but we're going to fix that real quick. So let's make a div with a class of nav close and also an ID with a class of with the name of nav close. So this, we're going to cut this and paste it over here. So this div is going to be under the UL. So in the responsive mode, when we try to access the UL, we're going to be closing and opening this particular div. So let's style this div. So we're going to grab nav close and we're going to give this a position of absolute and a top of 0.75 rem, a right 1 rem, and the font size of 1.5 rem should be okay, and the cursor should be pointer. Save this. Next thing we're going to do is grab the nav item. So let's go over here, copy this, so we're going to give this a margin button of 2 rem. Save this. Next thing we're going to do is grab the nav close, nav link. Let's copy this from over here. We're going to grab the nav logo, also nav toggle. So let's grab this from this section, the nav logo, and we're going to give this a color of white. So we're going to be using our variable. Next thing, we're going to add over effect. So now link, let's give this a transition of 0.3 seconds. Now we're going to add the over effects now. So over we want the color to change, so we're going to give this first color darken. First color dark should be fine. The next thing we're going to grab is nav toggle. And we're going to give this a font size of 1.5 rem, and the cursor should be pointer. Save this and you can check your browser, open with live server. So we're styling it in mobile view first, so inspect. Okay, there is an error. This button over here should be by the right, so let's check and fix the error. So my guess is probably because we made our navigation area justify content to the center, so it should be space between. So let's try save this and check. So you can see it's working perfectly. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the navigation area functional. So we're going to be using our JavaScript for that. So we already linked our JavaScript over here, so let's go here. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a constant. We're going to make some constants. So document.get element by ID. So we're going to be grabbing our nav menu. So let's copy this carefully. Paste it over here. Next thing we're going to grab is our nav toggle. So go back to your index.html, copy it carefully. So nav toggle, paste it over here. The last thing we're going to grab is nav close. So go back to your index.html, copy it and paste it over here. So now we're going to make a function to toggle menu dot add event listener and click. This function is going to happen on click. So on click, when we click the three buttons, the three nav menu, we want something to happen, so that's what we're going to do over here. This should be nav menu. Next thing, so when we click the nav menu, the navigation area is going to appear. So now we want to do it so that when we click the X button, which we imported from our box icons, is going to disappear. So let's grab this constant, close menu, add event listener, and click. So we just made a class now, which is show. So we're going to add this class to our CSS. So go back to the CSS, and we're going to give this show a right of 0. Save this and check your browser. So we're in our browser, opens. Okay, you can see over here we're having an error, so let's fix that real quick. So this is the error over here, and also we need to add transition. So get rid of this, say transition of 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds. So go back and refresh. So as you can see, the navigation area appears, and click the X button, it closes. Now the reason why you can't see the text is because the background is white and also the text is white, so we're going to work on that as we move on. So now let's move on to the main section, which is this part. So now that we're done with the navigation area, now the next thing we want to work on is the main area. So let's make a tag called main and give this a class of main. We're going to make a section, and over here we're going to give this a class of home. In this section we're going to have a div, and this div is going to have a class of home container. Also going to have another class called bg grid. So next thing we're going to do is that we're going to make another div called home image. Over here we're going to have our images. So we're going to grab our images from the images folder. So images, going to the images folder, and we're going to select image 86.png, and we're going to give this a class of move, and this is going to have another class of show. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab another image, and this is going to have a class of move also, and it's going to have another class of show side. Let's just say show side. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make another div below this home image. So we're going to have another div here, and we're going to give this a class of home data. Here we're going to have our h1, And this h1 is going to have a class of home title, and over here we're just going to say something like Nike Jordan. Here we're going to have a paragraph tag with a class of home description, and we're going to generate random text. So we don't want to break these lines, so we're going to add, so let's add BR. And okay, this should be fine. Lastly, we're going to add a button. So let's create a button using our anchor tag, and this button is going to say order now, and let's give this anchor tag a class of home btn. Save this. I'll say home button. Save this, and let's style this in our CSS. So the first one we're going to grab is our home. We're going to give this a background color, and we're going to be using our first color, which we declared in our variable. And I'm going to give this overflow of hidden. Next thing we're going to grab is the home container. So let's copy this. Let's copy it from over here. So we're going to give this a height, and we're going to have the height calculated. So it's going to be 100 viewport heights to our variable, which is header height. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to create this grid template. I'm going to give this a repeat to max content. Now we're going to give this a row gap of 1.5 rem. So now we're going to grab the home image, so copy this, so we're going to give this a position of relative, padding top of 1.5 rem, justify content to the center, width should be 302 pixels, height should be 233 pixels. Next one we're going to grab is our image itself. So let's grab the image, and we're going to give this a position of absolute, top of 0, left also should be 0. Next thing we're going to grab is our shoe side class. I'm going to give this a transform of translate y. I'm going to give this 40 pixels. Let's copy this, paste over here. So this is going to have a translate x of 50 pixels, and this is going to be rotate. Rotation should be minus 30 degree. Next thing we're going to grab is our shoe class. I'm going to give this a rotate of 60 degree. Also, we're going to grab the home data. I'm going to give this a color. So let's check our browser. Okay, it's looking nice. So let's get back. Next thing we want to grab is the home title. So we want to give this a font size. Next thing we want to give this a line height of 1.3, margin bottom of 1 rem. Now I want to select the home description. To give this a margin bottom of 2.5 rem. Lastly, we're going to grab the home button. We're going to give this a display of inline block, a background color, and we're going to be using our variables. So let's grab first color dark. Next thing we want to do is select color. Let's give this a color of white. So let's grab padding 1.1 to 5 rem top and bottom, and 2 rem left and right should do. Lastly, okay, we're going to give this a transition also of 0.5 seconds, and also border radius of, let's say, 0.5 rem. Now we're going to add hover effects. I'm going to change the background color on hover, so I want to change it to first color darken. Save this and check your browser. So as you can see, it's very responsive in mobile view. Now let's make it responsive in desktop size and tablet size. So now I'm going to make it fully responsive on desktop screen and tablet screen. So at media query, So we're going to set the minimum width to 768 pixels. So when it exceeds this certain width, then it's going to exhibit the styling we're going to give it over here. So first we're going to grab the body. I'm going to give this a margin of 0. Next thing we're going to grab is the nav, and we're going to give this a height. I'm going to calculate the height. So we're going to make use of our declared variable, header height plus 1.5 rem. Next thing we're going to grab is the nav toggle. Also we're going to grab the nav close. I'm going to give them a display of none. Now we're going to grab the nav list. Also going to give this a display flex. Grab the nav item. I'm going to give this, let's give it a margin right of 0 and a margin left of 0 also. So now we're going to grab the home container. We're going to give this a height 100 viewport, and we're going to give this a grid template column. Of repeat 2, max content. So also going to add grid template row, and we're going to give this a value of 1 fr. Next thing is row gap. We're going to align the items to the center and also justify the contents to the center. Next thing we want to work on is the home image. So home image. So we're going to give this an order of 1, a width of 375 pixels, and the height of, let's say, 290 pixels. Now we're going to grab the image itself. So home image img, and we're going to give this a width of, let's say, 375 pixels. So let's save this and check our browser. So let's try expanding this. So as you can see over here, we do have some errors. So let's fix that real quick. Let's go back here. So let's go up. Okay, I've seen the first error. This is supposed to be calc. Now for the second error, I think we have a margin issue. Okay, so let's change this to 3 rem. Save this and refresh. So as you can see over here, we fixed that. Now the next thing is to make it responsive on desktop screen. As you can see over here, it's not fully responsive, so we need to work on that. So let's go back, and we're going to create a new media query. So say add media screen and main width of 1024 pixels. So we're going to grab the BG grid. We're going to give this a margin right of auto and margin left of auto also. Now the next thing we're going to grab is the home container. So we're going to give this a justify content to the center, no initial. And the next thing we're going to grab is the column gap. And we're going to give this a value of 4.5 rem. Now we're going to select the home image. I'm going to give this a width of 604 pixels and the height of, let's say, 465 pixels. Now we're also going to grab the image, so home image img. So we're going to give this a width of 604 pixels. Save this and check your browser. So as you can see over here, we have everything working perfectly. So now the next thing we're going to do is add some animations to the shoe over here. So when we hover on the shoe, it's going to have a bit of movement, and also we're going to make use of GSAP animation for the web page animation. So when we reload the page, we are going to have some animations on this web page. So we'll go over to JavaScript, and over here we're just going to highlight this and say mouse animation. So first of all, we're going to make a function. So this function is going to occur on mouse move. So now let's set the function. I'm going to make a constant. So I created a function called move. Now this function is going to appear anytime we move our mouse, when we hover our mouse around the shoe. So we're going to have this function. So I made some constant here and I did some calculations. So when we hover on our shoe image, we're going to have some animations working. Now we need to add some things to our HTML, like this data speed. Also, I did notice a quick error. So this function is called move non-mover. So as you can see, when I changed it, this color changed. So make sure everything is correct. We don't want to have any errors. So this class, we already have it in our HTML page, so let's go over here. Okay, now you can see the class of move. So next thing we're going to add is the data speed. I'm going to give this a value of -2, and over here we're going to give this a value of 2. So save this and check your browser. So when we hover on the image, you can see it's kind of moving. You can see the animation over here. So this is working fine. Now the next thing we want to do is make use of our GSAP animation. So first of all, go to greensock.com. greensock.com. Now over here you can create an account if you want to. So we're going to grab this link over here, copy it, and you paste it in your HTML page. So let's go over here. Going to make a new script tag. And I'm going to paste the URL over here. Save this. So let's go to our script tag, our script.js. Now over here, we're just going to highlight this and say GSAP animation. So we're going to start using our GSAP now. So GSAP dot from we're going to grab the class nav logo, and also nav toggle. Now we're going to set the opacity. I'm going to set it to 0. Okay, there's an error over here. Okay, there's supposed to be a comma. Okay, we did make a mistake. So cancel this, add your brackets, and open your curly braces, and over here we're going to have a comma. Now we're going to set the opacity to 0, duration to 1, delay to 2, and it's going to have a y value of 10. Save this and let's see if it works. So you can see on reload, the logo takes time to load, so which is a good thing. That means it's working. Now let's carry on. So I'm going to say GSAP I'm going to grab the nav items. I'm going to set the opacity to 0, duration to 1, delay for 2.1 seconds. It's going to have a y value of 30 and stagger integer of 0.2. Now I'm going to grab the home title. Now you want to make sure everything is correct, like the class names, you want to make sure they are correct. So let's copy this, paste it over here to be on the safer side. So we're going to set the opacity to 0, the duration to 1, delay to 1.6 seconds, and the y value 30. Now I'm going to do the same for our home description, so let's copy this, paste it over here, grab the class home description, and we're going to make some changes. So this is going to be 1.8. Save this. Let's check our browser. So on reload, you can see the animations happening. Now the next thing we're going to grab is the home button. So let's copy this. So let's grab the class home button and paste it over here. So this is going to have a delay of 2.1 seconds also. Last thing we're going to grab is our home image. Copy this, paste it over here, grab the class, and we're going to change this to 1.3. Save this and check your browser. So as you can see, the animation is working properly. So let's check how responsive this is. Inspect. So when we reload, you can see the animation. Let's reload again. See the animation happening. Also, you can set this button to reload the page instead of using your Ctrl R or something. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So we're going to go back here and we're going to create a constant called button, and we're going to grab the class button. So document dot query selector, and we're going to grab the class home button, which you already have here. So we're going to call the button that we just made. I'm going to add an event listener. So this function is going to occur on click. So I'm going to say timeline dot reverse, So let's save this and check our browser. So the animation is not working. Okay, so I guess the reason why it's not working is because we haven't declared this constant. So let's go up here and say const timeline equals GSAP rather the timeline default is going to have a duration of 1. So now that we have this constant timeline, we don't need this GSAP anymore. So we're going to paste this over here. Save and let's check our browser. So it's reloading. So it's taking too long to reload. So now let's click this and you can see it carefully goes back. Although we can reduce the speed, we can increase the speed rather, so it's going to be faster. So let's do that. So we're going to decrease the duration to 0.2 and this is going to be the delay is going to be 1 second. Now this over here is going to be 0.9 and the duration also is going to be 0.2. Next thing, this is going to be 0.8 and this also is going to be 0.2. We're going to have 0.2 here also, and this is going to be 0.7. This is going to be let's say 0.4, and over here is going to be 0.2 also. Lastly, this is going to be 0.2 and this also is going to be 0.25. Save this and refresh. So let's click this. For some reason it's not working. Save. So I guess we have to refresh our browser. Let's just cancel this and save this. Now when we refresh our browser, we should have it working properly. So let's click this button and it's working perfectly. So when we reload, the animation comes back. Now let's inspect. So you can see it's completely responsive. The source code to this project is going to be in the description below, so make sure you grab the source code, and if you want me to make more website tutorials, make sure you comment down below. I hope you had fun making this project because I did. Now if you did have fun, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up and comment your thoughts down below. I'll see you in my next video. Stay tuned and goodbye.